Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who share their expertise and insights so we can all grow together. My guest today is from across the country from me. I'm in Florida, he's in California. So this is exciting. And we're going to dive into talk about their business as well as growth. But before we do so, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, and I'm co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, where we help businesses drive revenue using out-of-the-box visibility strategies. If you're here for the first time, please stay to the end because we have a special gift for you. But without further ado, let's dive into our conversation. Welcome to the podcast, David Berg with Commander AI. Welcome, David.
Thank you so much. Honored to be here.
I'm excited to chat with you. So can you kick us off by letting us know a little bit about you, Commander AI, and your role within the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm founder and CEO of Commander AI. For context, it's a sales platform leveraging AI that's designed uniquely for the waste management industry. It's a very niche industry. A lot of people aren't too familiar with it. A lot of thoughts around mafia ties and, just really, I think, a misunderstood space. I come from that world. I was a garbage truck salesman for 5 years. I worked at a company called Battle Motors, and I was dealing with all the waste haulers throughout the country, from WM to all the local mom and pop shops in between, and really understood that they didn't leverage technology across any parts of the business. Their go-to-market strategy is very old school, pen and paper, door to door, and saw an opportunity to build a tool that was both simple but effective for industries that maybe are afraid of technology or hadn't adopted previously. And so we started with my background, which is in waste management. We've been live for just about 16 months now, have grown pretty rapidly, which is not surprising given, the lack of adoption within the space. And just getting started, but it also feels like we've come a long way since.
That's awesome. So what I love that you really niche down, because I've talked with different founders and CEOs, and some niche down, some are pretty agnostic. So how does that, how are you getting in front of I know that you were in sales before, but how are you with Commander AI targeting and getting in front of that target market?
Yeah, so the nice thing is, given we are a sales tool that's AI based, we're actually using our own tool to get new business. So what Commander does for our users and what it's doing for us internally, it'll find customers that would potentially need your service. It'll pull all the data that's relevant to them, whether it's their cell phone or LinkedIn or email, and then it'll start to generate email prompts directly to them. This is done all with AI, nothing human involvement. You're not on your computer. You're not manually sending out emails. So that's one channel for us. Second to that is trade shows, very common and very effective in this space. We were just in Vegas actually this past week for the Waste Expo, which is an annual trade show, all things waste management related. Really great turnout for us there as well. And then lastly, my relationships within the space. So again, you're selling trucks to individuals for 5 years. You get to know a lot about them and how they operate. And so now the progression is, hey, I was once selling you trucks. Now I built a software to serve you and help you grow your business. And those conversations usually are fruitful for both them and for myself.
Amazing. So as a founder in the AI space, how do you personally define success, and has that definition changed for you over time?
Yeah, great question. I think success is very arbitrary. A lot of people have different perceptions on it. Some of it is monetary, financially. Others is just, am I living a happy existence, a happy life? As a founder within the space, the way that I define success is driving real value. So I think, the world and all of us individually are sort of built to really think of ourselves first and oftentimes neglect everybody else around us. How can I benefit from this? How can I profit from this? Everything from our company to the way that I manage employees has always been, how can we drive the most value? And as a byproduct, we'll benefit from it. And so, bringing AI technology to a space that has not used tech, the first thing is how can we get them to see the inherent value within our product, right? So whether it's, telling them, hey, your routes will be more efficient, or you'll get more customers, or you'll save money, or you'll save time, rather than focusing on, hey, Commander is this tool that'll help you drive sales software, which sounds like a sales pitch. And obviously it doesn't lead to much conversion when you go about it that way. So that'd be the first thing. Success in my own life. And I think, in talking to many other founders, really hard to navigate through balancing your own life and well-being and then running the company. What I've learned is when the company is doing well, then I feel great. When the company isn't doing well, then I don't feel as great. And obviously that's not a sustainable way to live. And so reframing that and saying, okay, everything that we do, whether it's a good day, it's a bad day, it's a good week, it's a bad week, it's continuously getting us closer to the company's growth, to the company's evolution, and being excited about that rather than the day-to-day changes, which as a founder are always fluctuating.
Yeah, and I love that you lead with value. I think that's super important because nowadays people are trusting less than they used to when it comes to marketing or cold reach out and things like that, especially with the evolution of AI too. So I'm curious how you balance that personal interaction and touch with using AI for the cold email outreach.
Yeah. So as you're probably familiar with, and maybe our audience too, with ChatGPT and open source LLMs,
Mhm.
although you can prompt it in certain ways, it often does sound like an AI, right? And so all of our cold outreach, you would never be able to tell whether you read it 50 times or received it 100 times that it is coming from an AI bot. One of the things that we did was built our LLM around the truck lingo. So our audience talks in a certain way. They're usually more direct. So they're very to the point, and the AI is actually influenced by that, and it adjusts accordingly. Users also have the ability to regenerate emails according to their style and their tone. So what we tell clients is like, hey, upload a sample prompt the way that you like to email. We'll refine it for you, but still keep your tone. And so it might sound like the person, but it'll say something completely different. And that's why I think we have very high open rates, very high conversion rates on emails. But I'm becoming an expert in understanding AI emails as soon as I get them. And I think that as time goes on, they'll become more refined. But for anybody listening, if you're using an AI for your emails, make sure that the initial prompt is, hey, emulate how I talk, but just make it sound a bit better.
Yeah, I'm glad that you shared that because I was just going to ask you, like, what advice would you give to a company that's wanting to step into utilizing AI more for cold outreach? And you just shared it. So, and you need to spend time allowing AI to learn your voice, right? So inputting a lot of that data in there so they can get to know you. It's not just like it's going to spit out perfect stuff or content or emails for you or outreach on the very first time. There's time involved, correct?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. And I think also people oftentimes misunderstand how AI plays and its role in it. The way that I explain it is AI can be your best friend, but if you don't give it attention and energy, then it's not going to like you very much. So when you're using an AI, if you're afraid of it taking over your job, the only way that it takes over your job is if you're not using it to your advantage, and eventually it might displace you. But think of it as somebody who's there 24/7 to help you, to support you, and to give you guidance in your business, and treat it as such, and you'll reap the benefits of it. If it's there and it's imposed onto you, probably not as much. So I think that takes like the scariness or the fear factor that people experience when thinking about AI or ChatGPT or any other LLM.
Yeah. So like basically what it matters what you're inputting into the AI. Garbage in, garbage out, pun intended.
Exactly. Yep. No pun intended. That's exactly right.
Um, so David, do you have any you mentioned balance and you talked earlier about when the company's doing good, you're feeling good. When it's not getting those results that or hitting those goals, you're not feeling so good. So do you have any spiritual practices or grounding routines that help you stay balanced while leading in a high growth, high tech environment?
Totally, many. It's something that I didn't incorporate as much into my life in my early 20s. Found it just an absolute necessity. I haven't met somebody who doesn't practice some form of spirituality. And again, that can mean many different things, that feels balanced, that is not anxious, that is not depressed, and that has purpose. I think it's only possible with spirituality. For me specifically, the wisdom of Kabbalah, which maybe you're familiar with, the Kabbalah Center, is where a lot of my teachings and wisdom has come from. The
Mhm.
main ethos of that and the tools that are offered there is what you give to the world is what you'll receive back, which is sort of in line with what you just shared with us, with right, garbage in, garbage out. And when I've experienced a day where I'm taking, my life feels like a disaster. All the little problems become magnified. Whereas where my day is spent with how can I help this individual? How can I take time on my day to, go be a resource here? Maybe I can't get anything back from it, but I'm adding value. Then my problems become a lot smaller and I get a broader picture into what's actually going on in the world. Second to that is meditation. I call it, talking to the creator. If it's God for you, that's great as well. Talking out loud to the universe and saying, what do you want me to do today? I think that as founders, a lot's expected. We often think we need to have all the answers to everything. No matter if you're a seed founder, a Series A founder, an IPO founder, you never have all the answers. And I think being humble enough and also being able to ask this question, again, literally saying out loud, whether it's talking to yourself, whether it's writing it down, allows the energy of the universe to come into your life. I've noticed whenever I don't have clarity on a problem, I take 30 minutes, I pause, write it down, say it out loud, and then eventually the answer comes to me. So those are like the two daily practices that I'd encourage anybody to start doing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's really important for us to take time because as, leaders, as CEOs, as founders, like you said, there's a lot right on your shoulders, right? You're carrying a lot. and it can feel really heavy, and it can feel like we always have to be going, going, going in order to get results. And, what you shared is basically you need to take a little step back to ground yourself every now and then. Even if it's 5 minutes, some people take 30, some people do it for an hour. I've noticed when, the people that I've talked to that do the practice like that you do, or something similar, just whatever it is that's for them that grounds them, like you shared, you could be doing different things, but this is what works for you. They end up going further faster because they are being led with clarity and also peace and calmness, and they're making decisions out of coming from a place of groundedness versus a place of emotional reaction. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Love it. So how do you integrate purpose or a higher mission into your leadership style and company culture at Commander AI?
Yeah, great question. So I think, with all of my employees, one of the most important things for me is, are they happy coming into the office every day? I think, many founders have different approaches to it. You can whip somebody and tell them, you have to do this, or you're going to lose your job, and threaten them and make them feel unsafe. It might work for short bursts of time, but eventually they'll burn out, and eventually they'll start to resent the company, and their output will be affected as a factor of it. My ethos, and learning this from my former employer, who always was, make sure your employees are happy first and then ask them, to work really hard. That's always worked out. It's how I've operated as an employee, now as an employer. And so whether it's, taking them to a basketball game, whether it's, buying lunch for the team, whether it's, giving them insights on what you're doing on your day today, if you're talking to investors, if you're raising capital. I think a lot of founders are afraid to show that entire side to an employee. Maybe they know too much, maybe they'll have too much visibility into the day-to-day operations. I've always been transparent from day one. When I have challenges, the team has challenges. When things are great, the team has benefits because of it. So I'd say that's the first thing. And then secondly is like checking in with your employees. Like, we're all here, we're building a company, it's exciting, it's great, but how are you doing? Like, how is your mental health? How are you feeling today? Ask those questions. There's nothing to lose from it. You'll get more clarity into your employees. They'll feel safer around you, and the culture and the company will grow as a byproduct of it.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, I was talking to another CEO on here with a highly successful business, and transparency was the same exact thing that he shared about you. So if you're listening, that's a key takeaway because we've heard it multiple times. Company culture matters in growth of your business. Transparency with your employees, with your team matters for the growth of your business. And you're listening to successful businesses who have gone through growth, they're still growing, and you're hearing it multiple times. So I just really wanted to bring that forward because I just think it's a big gold nugget that you just dropped amongst all the other stuff too. But that is something that I think more founders and more team leaders need to incorporate into the business, especially in today's day and age of where, we're moving into, because that company culture, that trust that's built inside the company is going to be exuded outwardly to your clients and customers. Can we talk about growth now, David? What are some of the challenges that you've faced in your growth of Commander AI? And also maybe you've seen some challenges in the companies that you've been with before, but what were they and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, great question. I'll tie it into my role as an employee and now my role as a founder. Early stage in Commander, I think it's two things. One, people don't talk enough about how really challenging it is to start a business. You expect to work really hard. You expect to go through rejection and challenges, but there is a level of mental fortitude and resilience that is really hard to explain unless you've been in it. That is just not for most people. So if I talk to a friend now and they say, hey, I have this really great idea. Should I start a company? I always say, like, everybody has great ideas. Executing on them is something completely different. If you are willing to sacrifice every area of your life, your sleep, your health, your well-being, your emotional state, then maybe this is for you. But if that's not something that you're excited about, then don't even step into it. Some of the hardest things that I've had to deal with in building this company really early on was raising capital, getting that initial, 100K check in the door, your first million. That is extremely hard because, again, you're not raising on facts. You're raising on somebody's opinion of you, on their ability or thought of your ability to execute. And oftentimes it's really just off metrics that they're looking at, right? They have questions that they preset. So you could be the greatest founder with the most novel idea, but you might not raise money. And most companies never raise money, and they kind of get stuck there. So that's been challenging. Thankfully, we raised a pre-seed. We're wrapping up our seed raise now as well. So again, a lot of tribulation, but both have manifested and executed. Aside from that is hiring your first employee. I think that it's something that maybe is overlooked and not often talked about. But when you are hiring the first person in your company, you're basically saying, your presence and role is now equal or close to equal to mine and my co-founder. And that's a really big decision. They can either make or break your company. As an early stage company, you don't have the luxury of, bringing on the wrong people, right? 6 months of the wrong employee is really the deciding factor whether the company will succeed or not. I've had to fire in our short lifespan, right? And that was really challenging. Nobody prepares you for that. I guess the closest thing to it is, like having to break up with your girlfriend, and that's painful in its own right, but it's not fun. And it's something that I think every founder will have to do at some point. And yeah, if you're resilient enough and excited enough about the idea and the continuous execution of it, you'll probably succeed. But don't think that it's all glitz and glamour and you're going to now have your own hours and you're going to be the boss and, everybody's going to pat you on the back, because none of that's the reality. In fact, it's the opposite of it, right? You work more than everybody else. You get the least praise, and you deal with all the problems that nobody else wants to deal with. So if you're looking for fun, stay in a company where you can help and be a resource. But if you're looking for pain, but ultimate, satisfaction and purpose, then maybe become a founder.
Yeah, such good points there, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm a business owner," and they're all excited about it. When at the end of the day, you're working harder than anyone else. You're working earlier and you're working later. And that's what it takes to grow a business. It doesn't, when I was in the coaching space and coaching, now I'm, doing more of the behind the scenes work, but because I saw a gap in the visibility space and marketing. But when I was more in the coaching space, that was a big thing. It's like you hear all these people, you see all these ads going, "Oh, and I'm making this in 7 months." And I'm like, they're not telling you about the 3 to 7 years that they've spent building this, Yeah. So I really like that you brought light to that, because I think it's so important for people to realize, like you said, if you're looking for fun, then this isn't your gig.
Exactly. There's many other great careers, you know what I mean? There's a lot of really fun things to do. But
yeah. Yeah, for sure. So what let's for visibility, we just touched on
yeah.
it. You did share how you're getting in front of your ideal clients using your tool, but are there any other things that you're doing out there? I mean, you're on this podcast. So is our podcast guesting, is that a normal thing for you? Do you all have your own podcast? Like, what are you doing marketing wise to get in front of your ideal client besides just the cold outreach? Or is that it?
Yeah, no, the podcast, I mean, it's something that I did even before the launch of Commander. I run my own podcast too. I have had a little less time to do that. That was more just, just pure fun and wanting to connect with other people. So I did that previously. I'm on podcasts now a lot. We do a little bit of marketing. I'd say, people reach out to us for an article on, waste management article, or like a company like Waste Today, will they'll write us up. But typically it's really just been our cold outbound motion. It's something that we're looking into and open to. But frankly speaking, our initial clientele and sales strategy has worked without any sort of marketing spend. So it's something that we're definitely going to bring on at some point. I think once the water well is dried out from my relationships, we might entertain it a bit more, but always open to, exploring and having those conversations.
Yeah, what you're doing seems to be working pretty well, right? So yeah, and you've been in this space for a long time. So what's next for Commander AI? What are your big goals for the next 12 months?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, we're wrapping up our seed raise, a bunch of key hires that we're bringing on board. We're hiring a couple industry experts on the sales front, on the product front. That'll help us deeper understand our clientele. We have revenue goal numbers. I'd like to, hit 5 million over the next 16 months in total revenue. Promise for our Series A next year. From a product perspective, now we're a sales tool that helps these companies drive business. The broader vision is to become more of an ecosystem where we can benefit both from the demand and as well as the supply. So, continuing to deliver on our customers now, receiving all that data from them on how they operate, how they're spending money, where they can be more efficient, and then broadening our product from just being a sales platform. And then continuous growth and expansion. There's other verticals that are also exciting for us that are legacy, not using tech, and can also be disrupted, like construction, like scrap metal. So understanding those markets, how we can serve them with our current products or maybe expanding products, but really narrowly focused on continuing to drive revenue, growing the company. I mean, all the similar things that other companies at this stage are looking to do. I think if you try to do too much too soon is when you, fall flat on your face. So getting excited about the growth opportunity and the traction we've seen thus far, but not becoming overly optimistic about, tackling 10 things at the same time.
Yeah, so good. Well, if for those listening, David, how can they connect with you and reach out to you?
Yeah, so if in the rare use case that you are in the waste management space, then I'd recommend going to our website, commanderai.com, learning about our product there, seeing, you can book a demo if you're in the space. Aside from that, I'm fairly active on LinkedIn, David Berg, Berg. I post some content, as I mentioned before, on my own podcast, the Success Series, So feel free to check that out as well. But if you're just curious about learning about waste or tech and waste, reach out to me and happy to chat always.
Awesome. So go check out the podcast, the Success Series. Go to commanderai.com, correct?
Yep.
And then check him out on social media. And we'll have all of David's links inside of the show notes as well. So if you're driving, come back, check him out later. But if not, then go connect with him now. He's an awesome guy, as you can see and hear. If you're watching David and I on YouTube, thank you. We're happy you're here. And please hit that button that says the word subscribe on it, because that helps us. You get dinged when we have a more amazing guest like David onto the show. And if you know of somebody that would benefit from this conversation and would benefit from learning more about David and Commander AI, then please share. Please share the information with them as well as this episode. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, on any of the other ones, and you can leave a review, love for you to hit that 5-star button and leave a comment. Leave a comment for David, leave a comment for me. We'd love to hear from you. And also this allows us to help and get these guests like David, who are taking time out of their busy day to be here with you, out to more people and share their business and what they're up to. I promise y'all a gift. So if you are listening and you are doing all the things that you feel you need to be doing as far as getting in front of your ideal client, and you feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and it's nothing sticking, then feel free to go download our Spotlight to Scale Blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint and grab that. One more time, go to commanderai.com. Go check out David and his company. Go check him out on social media. David, is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap that I didn't get to ask you or we didn't touch on?
I guess, I don't know if this is related to the context, but I think that the one thing that I don't think also gets said enough is that if you have an idea and everybody else tells you that you're wrong or that you're not capable of it, you likely are. You're the only person that determines that. I've seen people that, are not as smart or didn't have the education or didn't have the experience that have built some of the most successful things in the world. And so the only thing that they had was belief in self and not listening to other people. So when people are telling you that you shouldn't do something or that you're not capable, it's likely because you are. As the old cliche goes, when you have haters, it's an indication that you're doing something right. So that would just be my advice. If you're not a founder yet, if you are a founder and thinking about giving up, don't, because your success is in your hands, and with enough belief in self and fortitude, you'll be successful. So.
I love that. So it's such a good way to end the show. And you never know, like, don't, you shut those doors, tomorrow could have been the day, right?
Exactly right.
Exactly. And David's given you a lot of great tips. Do some grounding practices, spiritual practices, whatever it looks like for you. Take that time for you, because it's really, really important, because you're, like you said, like David said, when you're a founder, you do have a lot on your shoulders. It can feel like a lot. You've got a team relying on you, but when you take that time for you, you're able to give back from a full bucket, which is key. So thank you for everything you shared, David. This has been awesome. I really enjoyed our
I enjoyed it as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening to David and I today. We appreciate you being here. And we will see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlight.